How is everybody doing? Hope you're all well. No, I'm not becoming a monk or anything like that. I was out swimming today, sauna and swim. It was fantastic. Really good. Today, this video is how I learned to love Dire Straits. And you might have seen a few videos on my channel now. It's a kind of fun way to look at a band's catalogue, but there's also the story of how, I actually got into them and stuff like that. Dire Straits, one of my favourite bands, simply because of the superb guitar playing of Mr. Mark Knopfler. I kind of always heard of them in the, we'll say, I remember getting my hair cut when I was going to school in the late 70s, and I remember Sultans of Swing would always be on the radio, and it was kind of a song where you could kind of, when you heard the dialogue or the lyrics and stuff like that, it was almost, it's like a story, you know, there's a good few verses in it, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it was kind of like Baker Street and stuff like that, you know, but Dire Straits were, by the time I actually got into them and by the time I actually got my hands on an album, it was this one, and this was 1985. Brothers in Arms, probably one of the biggest selling albums of all time. This was big all throughout the summer, and everybody was into this. This was the album of 85, it was one of them anyway. And yeah, I think every restaurant, every car, every pub, I was a bit young for pubs back then, had this playing. I mean, yeah. I remember Money for Nothing was a hit during the summer, and everybody used to, you know, mosh to it at the school discos and stuff like that. And yeah, so it is a great album. There's no way around that. But it just became so popular at one stage, like that you didn't even have to play it because everywhere you went you heard it. So yeah, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life. I think I borrowed the cassette off a friend of mine. I think it was late 1985, just before Christmas, and yeah, I loved it. I thought it was, like, you know, intriguing and stuff. Your Latest Trick, that really took me in. I love the melodies on that. Why Worry, that was a bit long. The cassette was longer than the vinyl. I think it was nearly an hour in length. This is only about 45 minutes. The songs were kind of edited on this. Right Across the River, I really liked that as well. The Man's Too Strong. Good song. One World, and of course Brothers in Arms. And I think that was out just before Christmas 85, the video with the kind of animation and stuff. But the Money for Nothing video was a big deal. You know, it was played constantly on the TV and stuff, the computer graphics. But Brothers in Arms, yeah. Once I heard this, people, my friends would say, oh yeah, they've got other albums as well. Have you heard Romeo and Juliet? Have you heard Tunnel of Love or whatever? And yeah, I had to investigate immediately. I mean, this was 1986. All of a sudden, I was into Queen, and Dire Straits was the next big band for me. Actually, I've got a couple of copies. That's another, I think it's a South African pressing. This is the Stan Ricker half-speed mastered version. This actually is the length of the CD, so it's on two. It's a double, yeah. So they stretched it out, and yeah. So I mean, the cover is iconic. You know what I mean? It's Brothers in Arms. I mean, everywhere you go, you'd see it back then. So what happened? I'd be in people's houses and stuff like that. I think, and it was early '86. I think I spotted this in somebody's kitchen, friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, Dire Straits. Oh, wow, what's that one?" And it was Communicate. Now it was on cassette, mind you, and yeah, I liked it straight off. Once Upon a Time in the West, I really liked that. News, Where Do You Think You're Going? It's kind of intimate, you know. The songs were kind of much more laid back than, say, Brothers in Arms and stuff like that. Lady Writer, Angel of Mercy, Portobello Bell, I loved that, yeah. So, yeah, I borrowed that cassette, I had it for a while, and I liked this album. This is from '79, and then I'd say maybe by Easter 1986, a friend in school gave me this one, and again, I thought it was kind of a bit mature, you know, and it is quite, how will I put it? It doesn't have the production, we'll say, of Brothers in Arms, you know. It hasn't got, you know, 80s production. This one came from 78, but this is probably one of their best albums. You know, it's got the original lineup of Mark Knopfler, his brother on rhythm guitar, John Ilsley on bass, Pick Withers, and he was a fantastic drummer, you know. But Down to the Waterline, I loved that. I loved the lyrics on it. The story was good. Water of Love, yeah, I like that as well. Setting Me Up, Six Blade Knife, Southbound Again. I thought that was a weak track of the album. Yeah. Something to Swing, In the Gallery, fantastic. Wild West End, yeah. And then Lions, that's a great track as well. And the guitar playing was fantastic, you know, it was a big influence on me. And yeah, and then of course, I bought, that was on vinyl. I think that might be the actual vinyl that I actually borrowed, or he gave it to me. I can't remember. That could be it in April 80, March, April 86. And then there was Making Movies. Again, I borrowed that off somebody. I think it was around April or May, and I loved this. Romeo and Juliet is on it. Tunnel of Love, absolutely brilliant. Skate Away, that's a good track as well. Espresso Love, I loved that. Hand in Hand, excellent. Solid Rock and Les Boys. Actually, I got this one as well. I think it was around the same time, April 86. Alchemy, but it was recorded onto a TDK SA cassette by a guy who had a really good turntable and a really good hi-fi and stuff. And you know, I went to his house and I was kind of going, oh God, I gotta get some hi-fi and stuff, you know, because I had a little Academy Walkman. But he copied Alchemy onto a chrome cassette for me, and this I absolutely loved. This, I mean, I loved the version of Once Upon a Time in the West, Romeo and Juliet, Espresso Love, and Private Investigations, Sultans of Swing. Tunnel of Love was on it. Telegraph Road, the first time I heard it, I thought, wow, this is good stuff, I love it, you know what I mean? And then it was Going Home, theme from Local Hero. Fantastic as well, really good melody. So, yeah, I think then I bought Love Over Gold on cassette. That was around June 86. And that was a bit dense, like it was a bit yeah, but it's one of my favourite Dire Straits albums. I love it. Telegraph Road, Private Investigations, Industrial Disease, Love Over Gold itself, absolutely beautiful, and It Never Rains. I like that as well. Yeah, this is a great album. I prefer this than Brothers in Arms. I'll be totally honest. I love this. It's a great album. It's kind of dark. And it questions you as well, it questions the listener. I love that. So that was that. Again, then, that was 86, 87. I realised that there was soundtracks and stuff like that as well, so I borrowed them off people or maybe buy them. I remember buying, in the summer of 87, I remember buying Local Hero. I love this. I really do like this one. It's mainly instrumental stuff. There's some Kaylee music on it and stuff as well. But there's a beautiful song in this called The Way It Always Starts. And that's sung by Jerry Rafferty. And it's a fantastic song. Yeah, this came out in 83. I think some of this was recorded around the time they were recording Love Over Gold. That was the half-speed mastered version there. There's another version here. The normal version. And there's Cal as well. I remember buying that on a cassette. That was for the movie of the same name. That's kind of more Irish style stuff. It's nowhere near as, you know, it's nice, it's ambient and stuff like that, but you know, I prefer Local Heroes, probably the best soundtrack album. There was Princess Bride as well. I remember buying that on cassette in 1987. That's all done on synthesizers and stuff like that, but there's one blasting track on it called Storybook Love, and a song by Willie DeVille. And then, as last I said, the Brooklyn, which was kind of again all strings and synths and stuff like that. Yeah, but that was up to the late 80s, and then they released Money for Nothing. This is an original. I bought that on compact disc in 88. That was, how will I put it? Just the greatest hits, really. and it's got all their hits on it, and a live version of Telegraph Road, which isn't actually on the vinyl, unfortunately. It's a pity it wasn't a double, it's just a single. So yeah, it's pretty. I mean, there's single versions, like yeah, it's a bit, you know, they decided, I suppose they have to do something, because the band didn't do anything really from 1985. They were on a big tour, and it ended in early 1986. But then in September 91, they released On Every Street, and in late August, I went to the Point Depot in Dublin. They played for 5 nights, and I went to the Sunday night, and I saw them live, and I was so happy, like, you know, seeing, you know, Mark Knopfler on stage. And yeah, at this stage, his guitar tone was very kind of dense. He was playing the Princess Sewer guitar with the humbucker on it and stuff like that, the active pickups. Very, 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 very dense sound, you know, it was kind of very dark. But yeah, he did play songs of swing and stuff like that, and you know, he had the Schecter Strats and stuff like that with a clean sound. But his sound was very dense at this stage, you know, kind of like Brothers in Arms. The song itself, you know, has got the Les Paul in it, I think. That's just a double vinyl version of that album that came out. And then from that tour, there was On the Night, and I think I bought that compact disc in the early 90s. And vinyl, maybe a decade ago and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, he's fantastic. This is Notting Hillbillies. He got back with a bunch of old mates, and they released an album. It's okay. It's not bad. He doesn't sing on all the tracks, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? It's, yeah. Guy Fletcher produced it with Mark. I think it's kind of I think there's kind of a synth bass on it then as well, like, so it kind of takes some of the realistic sound out of it, you know what I mean? There's a lot of it done in the studio and stuff like that, but it's quite bluesy and stuff. It's not bad, you know what I mean? Some nice stuff on it. Bit of country stuff as well. And then there's Neck and Neck. This was an album he did with Chet Atkins, and it was released in 1990, just after the Notting Hillbillies. This is a good album. It's actually quite good. There's some great licks on it, and it's worth investigating if you've never seen it. Yeah, but that's it really. Yeah, I think, you know, he's released a lot more soundtrack albums, and he's released lots of solo albums. I have videos of the solo CD box sets on my channel. But overall, you know, the albums, this is the Mofi Mobile Fidelity version of Love Over Gold. I had to have that, it's so good. Yeah, you know, I've all the CDs a few times, all the box sets, all the cassettes. They're a great band. On Every Street, that's kind of, how would I put it? Kind of sounds like an Knopfler solo album. You know, at that stage, I think John Ilsley and Guy Fletcher were the only original members. Well, Guy Fletcher joined for Brothers in Arms, but originally the 4 members of Dire Straits, which included David Knopfler. David left during the recording of Making Movies due to artistic differences with his brother Mark. And he went off and did some solo stuff, but never really sold that much album. I bought all his stuff as well, by the way. John Ilsley, I've got his solo stuff. But no, you know, Mark Knopfler is a fantastic guitar player. He's just got an inimitable tone, in an inimitable style. Lots of people try to emulate it, but there's something missing. You know, he's one of the best. Yeah. So that's Dire Straits. That's how I got into them. You know what I mean? They've just been a lifelong love for me since 1985, and yeah, great band, and yeah, they're one of my favorites. And yeah, Local Hero is worth checking out. That's a lovely album, but it's kind of something you could relax to, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of it is variations on the theme as well, you know. There's very ambient things in like The Rocks and the Thunder. That's actually on it twice. Yeah, Going Home, theme from Look at Here, that's great as well. Yeah, but I think it was kind of around the time of Love Over Gold, which was recorded at the Power Station, New York, around springtime, 1982. Mark started kind of playing with session musicians. I think in early '83 he was back there producing Bob Dylan's Infidels. He already played on Slow Train Coming by Bob Dylan in 1979. I love that album as well. He's played on lots of albums, and I'd say he played with Steely Dan as well. Time Out of Mind on Go Show. He's played as a guest on must be 20 or 30 albums easily. He's everywhere, and yeah, so worth investigating if you can get everything. But yeah, Dire Straits, fantastic, really good. A lot of people just like the early stuff. You know, some people say the first album is the best and it has the best sound and stuff. It's a great album. It sounds fantastic. You know, on CD, it sounds fantastic on vinyl. It's just a 4-piece. That's it. You know, and it's just basic and it's fantastic. You know, the songs are good. He got it right first time, and yeah, it's very, very good. A lot of people thought that by Love Over Gold it was a bit too much, but I do like this album. I love it. I love Love Over Gold, and Private Investigations is great, and Telegraph Road, the solos and that are fantastic. Yeah, he was kind of really branching out and stuff as a player and stuff like that. So yeah. So anyway, before I waffle on anymore, that's it. And oh, by the way, on the night this was a double, and then you had to buy a 12-inch single of Encores to kind of fill it out, and I did. But they've released this again recently, but this is all original. You know, it fits in here. You see special white spines leave to hold Encores 12. Yeah, and this was back in, when was this? Back in this was back in 1993. So yeah, it's good to see vinyl coming out even back then when they were trying to, push CD to the max. And yeah, and I don't think this hasn't been reissued yet, but I reckon it's on the cards. It has to be. This was reissued last year, and it was a disaster. There's mistakes in it and stuff like that. Yeah, they botched it up completely. And yeah, so there you go. Anyway, that's it. That's how I learned to love Dire Straits. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take care. And if you get the chance to jump into the sea and then have a sauna, do it because it's worth it.